All right, welcome back. So we're going to continue on with this AWS Certified AI Practitioner walkthrough. This will be part one, but before that, hit the like button, subscribe, hit the share to anyone you think might use this. This will be a very pivotal exam, and I think a lot of people who get this certification will see their desire in the marketplace go up. So let's get started. What are we going to get started with? Well, Bedrock, if I can spell it correctly. Okay, so Bedrock. Amazon Bedrock is AWS's fully managed service for building generative AI applications that provide access to multiple foundation models from leading AI providers. This can include Anthropic, OpenAI, Cohere, Stability, Meta, Amazon, right? Obviously Amazon. But unlike building AI infra from scratch, Bedrock offers enterprise-grade security, unified APIs, and pay-per-use pricing that can reduce AI implementation costs by about 60 to 80%. So what are success factors for this? Data sovereignty. With this, data never leaves your AWS account. You have a unified security model. This will integrate with existing IAM, VPC, and compliance frameworks. This is API-first architecture, so this will enable infrastructure as code deployments. Then you have built-in governance, which will support NIST 853, FedRAMP, and HIPAA compliance requirements. So first, what is generative AI or Gen AI? This is a subset of deep learning, which is a part of machine learning and AI. It's used to generate new data similar to the data it was trained on, like text, images, audio, code, video, etc. For example, a model trained on dog images and cartoon drawings can generate a cartoon dog by combining both features. Think of it as a blender. Then there's foundation models. This is trained on a broad variety of inputs and can handle different general tasks like text generation, image creation, or chatbots. Training a foundation model is expensive. This can cost tens of millions of dollars, and it requires significant computational resources. Large companies like OpenAI, Meta, Google, Anthropic, or Amazon typically develop these models. Then there's large language models, or LLMs. This is a type of AI that generates human-like text based on input. Examples include ChatGPT-4, which was created by OpenAI, or Claude by Anthropic. This is trained on large data sets, including books, articles, websites, and other text data. This has non-deterministic outputs, so the same prompt can yield different responses in separate instances. Then there's Gen AI for images. This can generate images based on prompts, like create a blue sky with white clouds, or create a dog with a leash. This uses methods like diffusion models where noise can be added or removed to an image and then gradually added or removed to generate a new image from scratch. So let's do a little bit more about Bedrock. So Bedrock is a managed service on AWS for building generative AI applications. It provides a unified API to interact with various foundational models from different providers. It allows users to keep control of their data, which never leaves their account, and supports advanced features like RAGs, which are retrieval augmented generation, and LLM agents. Security, privacy, governance, and responsible AI features are integrated with this. Foundational models on Bedrock provide access to multiple models and various providers. And the models can be fine-tuned with custom data, and Amazon will ensure that the user data is kept secure within your account. So what are some practical uses? One, you can set up Bedrock. So where are we going to typically do this? It's only available in certain regions, like US East 1 in Northern Virginia, which I believe is the only one as of this moment. And then you can go for foundation models, right? So foundation models providers, users can choose from different foundation models and providers, each offering specific capabilities and use cases. Then there's model access, where users must enable access to foundation models, which can take some time to process. And then there's using the Amazon Bedrock UI, which we're going to do. Within this, the Examples tab will provide pre-configured examples for both text and image prompts, allowing users to understand model responses without incurring costs. There's also a text playground, which will allow users to input text prompts and receive generated responses from selected models. There's also image generation, which is more expensive than text generation, and it typically costs a few cents per image. Next, there's foundation model comparison. So models can differ in performance, customization, input token capacity, and cost, such as Amazon Titan. This is a versatile model supporting text and multimodal inputs with customization options for user data. Then there's Llama 2 from Meta, which specializes in large-scale tasks and dialogue generation. Then there's Claude from Anthropic, which is known for its high token input capacity, making it suitable for tasks requiring large context windows. And then there's Stability AI, which focuses on image generation, especially using stable diffusion. And then finally, we'll go into fine-tuning foundation models. This allows the customization of models with user-specific data stored in S3. The fine-tuning adjusts the statistical parameters of the foundation models to better align with specific use cases. Fine-tuned models require provision throughput, which incurs additional costs. So let's go through the strategic planning and the region selection. All right, so why does this matter? Foundational models are region-specific due to compliance and latency requirements. Some models have restricted availability in certain regions, and data residency requirements due to GDPR and HIPAA compliance. So how do we access this? So we'll select the optimal region, right? Which we're already at, US East 1 in Northern Virginia. You can also do, let's see, US East 2, US West 2. It's not available in Hong Kong or Mumbai. Europe seems to have all of them open. No, it's not. No, it's not available in Hong Kong. That's right. So Canada has it, the EU has it. So there's a good availability, but then there's 15 regions not available for this account. Okay. And what we can do is get the Bedrock documentation, which I think everyone. There we go. Let's open that up. I recommend getting this for yourself to go over this in depth because we're going to go over machine learning eventually. But the goal is to start here. All right, but let's continue. So go here. Let's see. Maybe we'll find it here. Let's see. Oh, avail. Part of our model availability. Let's see if we can find this. Okay, so we see, here we go. Here's the supported foundation models in Amazon. All right, so A121 Labs, Amazon has there, Nova Canvas, available in US East 1, AP Northeast, EU West 1. The Nova Lite is available in a lot more. Nova Micro, available in a lot more. Nova Pro. Nova Premier is not as available, but it looks like a lot of this is US East 1, some in US East 2, or most in US East 2, and then some are available outside of that. Okay, okay, so we have a good idea of where things are and supported for inference profiles. So we can find that as well here. Okay, so what we're going to do next, IAM and security configuration. Okay, this is going to be important because Bedrock requires specific IAM permissions for model access and data handling, and it follows a principle of least privilege for security. So you have to enable audit trails for compliance. So let's go IAM. Let's go to users. I am on the root account, but we'll go ahead and do this just to make sure. Okay, we'll do this. Perform test. and permissions, attach policies directly. Okay, let's see, Bedrock. We'll go Bedrock full access. You should do limited access when you're on-prem or on the job, and then start increasing out from there. So it looks like Bedrock get list. Yeah, this looks pretty sufficient. Yeah, that looks really good. Get stuff from the marketplace, but we'll just do full just because we're doing a test for this. So we're going to add this permission. So we should be good if we're going to do anything for this. But for production, you could do custom policies and go back and edit what you need. And then let's go to CloudTrail. Let's go. And we can do this for API calls. So we want to enable CloudTrail for the Bedrock. Trail, let's see, Bedrock management events. That's good. And then let's go to S3. Create bucket. Bedrock storage. This will be for the logs. And then we want to get CloudWatch alarms. All right. For any security events. We might not need this because we're going to be in there pretty lightly. Okay. Review. Services work. Create alarm. This might not be necessary, but it is a good idea to have it. Huh. Well, probably for API calls. I mean, we're not going to be using too much. All right. So let's go back to Bedrock. Let's go to the models. All right. All right. So the model catalog, let's go here. All right. So here's where you can go and evaluate your models, right? You see the different ones available: Claude Opus, Nova Light. Let's say, yeah, let's do Claude Solid. All right. So from here, users can evaluate models for quality through any automated task like text summarization, question answering, or classification. And you could use benchmark questions and answers to compare model outputs against expected results. All right. And then the scores can be calculated through different model outputs against different metrics, whatever score you need. And this will give you an overview, some usage, and the end user license. Okay. So let's go here and get some model access. Why does this matter, right? Models require explicit access approval due to usage, and different models have different approval times. It can be instant to up to 24 hours, and approval is required per region and per model. So we'll go over here to model access. Where is it? Model. There we go. Model access. And you're going to enable, so access is granted for this one. All right. Sonic, access is granted to this one. Okay, so we've got available to request. Request. What else would I want? This. I mean, Claude Opus, Claude Sonnet, Claude 3.7, Jamba Large, Jamba Mini, Nova Micro, Nova Premier, Nova Canvas. There's no particular reason why I'm doing this outside of showing you that you can do this. So this will take some time to do it, and your use will demonstrate your costs. All right. So some of these are general text, some of these are video, some of these are speech, and it can be useful for a number of things. The best ones are going to be typically Claude 3.5 Sonnet, which is good for superior reasoning and analysis. Claude 3 Haiku, which is good for fast and cost-effective responses. Anything Llama for open source alternatives. And then Stability AI is good for image generation. So you'll submit those requests for each model. You complete any use case justification forms, provide any business contact information. And then depending on the model, it could be instant, it could be 2 to 4 hours, or it could be 1 to 24 hours. It really just depends. All right, so let's do some model testing. So why is this useful? So this would validate that the model access is working correctly. You can establish baseline performance expectations, and you can identify optimal models for specific use cases. Okay, so let's go over here. Okay, so let's look for playground. All right, so here are your playgrounds: chat or image video. All right, let's open up this one. Let's open up this one. Okay, that opened correctly. All right. Going to take a couple moments to load. We'll get there. All right, so we're in the text. So we're in the mode chat. We're going to select the model. So we're going to go for Anthropic. We're going to do Claude. Let's do 3.5 Sonnet. And then inference on demand. Yeah, we'll apply this. Okay, so now we're going to set some initial parameters. Let's go for temperature. Let's do 0.1. This will get us real consistent factual responses. Let's see, maximum length. Let's do 1,000 tokens. All right, because we don't need to have too much information. Top P, 0.99. This will be percentile. Yeah, yeah, let's do that. Okay, and then let's do a prompt. All right, right here. Okay. And remember, you can have guardrails here. You can set the guardrails here. What do guardrails do? They set your parameters for this so that you cannot go outside of certain tasks that you need. You don't want it talking about anything insensitive. That could be along any gender, any racial, religious. Think of anything you would want to have not included when you're asking about a very basic question like explain the difference between I, IS, pass, and SAS in 3 sentences. Okay, let's run that. All right. So there's nothing offensive here. Provides virtualized computing resources over the internet, allowing users to manage their own operating system, storage, networking. PaaS offers a complete development and deployment environment in the cloud, enabling users to focus on application development without worrying about underlying infrastructure. SaaS delivers software applications over the internet, eliminating the need for users to install and run the application on their own computers or infrastructure. Now, if this included anything that was outside of this, very far, that would be outside of the guardrails. That is why you would need something like guardrails to make sure that no topic could bleed in that might be in some form of text that it has absorbed over time. Okay, let's do another test. Right, a Python function that validates if a string is a valid IPv4 address. Okay. Okay, so this gives you this string. That'd be your split for the octets. Check the octets if it's a digit, convert it to an integer, check if it's within 0 to 25, 255, excuse me. Check for any leading zeros. This looks pretty solid and return true. You have else or if else, and then splits it, yeah, splits it the octets, checks if there's 4 octets for each, determines several checks that it's an integer between 0 and 255, ensures there's no leading zeros except for the number 0 itself, and if all checks, it returns true, indicating an IPv4 address. Otherwise, it returns false. So this would be very solid. And here's some examples of what it could get. Okay, that is very good. And then let's see, list the let's say the pillars of AWS's well architected framework. So let's say summarize. 6 pillars. And it goes through the 6 pillars: operational excellence, security, reliability, performance efficiency, cost optimization, and sustainability. This looks like a solid summarization. It could go into a little bit more particulars, which it does, and then go into even more depth, which it could. But because we've limited the length, this is what we're going to get. All right. So I would rank these as probably 8, 9, or 10 as far as what I wanted to get. And it looks like the inputs were relatively low. The outputs were here, and the latency was relatively low. Okay. All right. So next, we're going to go into RAG. All right. What is RAG? Let's see, implementing RAG, building your own RAG, which we've already talked about, and retrievers for RAG. And you're going to need to know that, and that eventually. You're going to need to know knowledge bases, agents, and evaluations. But RAG is retrieval augmented generation. AWS has its own resources, okay? And this will go into it. But RAG enhances generative AI models by allowing them to retrieve information from external data sources without fine tuning. So you can use knowledge bases. Knowledge bases are created from data sources like S3, Confluence, SharePoint, and web pages. And then you can use vector databases. This is where these are used to store and retrieve relevant information. Options on AWS would include OpenSearch, Aurora, MongoDB, Redis, Pinecone. And then you can get into creating a knowledge base. This involves setting up a data source, like selecting and embedding models and configuring a vector database. And the data stored in S3, Bedrock would handle with the creation of vector embeddings and synchronization with the vector database. Okay, so you can remember this page underneath Amazon Nova. All right. Okay, so knowledge bases and RAGs, why are they important? RAGs enhance the model accuracy by incorporating current domain-specific information. It also reduces AI hallucinations by grounding responses in verified data and enables models to work with proprietary company information. So you can prepare a knowledge base data, which we already did when we created our S3 bucket. Okay, so we can use this Bedrock managed storage for our knowledge database. But then we can upload documents here, PDFs, texts, Markdown, HTML, anything along those lines to add to the knowledge base for this. Okay, so what do we want to do? I'm going to add some stuff. Okay, let's do. I'm going to add that. I'm going to add this. Yeah, give me a few seconds to add some stuff to this. And then we'll be able to proceed with having some more information. Okay? Well, that should be super. We'll upload this. All right. So now we're back here. So now we'll go back to Bedrock, and then we'll need to go to knowledge bases. Okay? And then we'll create a knowledge base. Click here, create a knowledge base. Structured data. I don't think it's structured. Let's try this. Yeah, the S3. There we go. Okay, knowledge base name, Bedrock, knowledge base, practice. Okay, this is optional. Do we need it? Use an existing role. No, we don't have one. We'll create one. We'll use a S3. We can add tags. You always want to add tags just to make sure you have everything well documented so that your build, does, when it comes back, it's going to be a lot. We're going to browse for this bucket here. Choose this. The data source is in this account. This is the data source. This is the name. Do we have it encrypted? We have server-side encryption, but not that big of a deal. Okay. Okay, so you named it. We have a new role. We selected the S3 bucket. So let's see, what else do we need? Chunking strategy. We'll do default. So the default, this will split the text into chunks to about 300 tokens. By default, if the document is less than 300 tokens, it's not split any further. Okay. Then you have fixed size chunking, hierarchical, semantic by similarity, no chunking. All right. So this defaulting would be good. And then let's open these up. Lambdas, we don't need to transform anything from what I know. KMS key for storage, we have the default, that's fine. And then, let's see. Parsing, Bedrock data automation. Okay, I think we're okay. We don't need another data source, sorry. Okay, let's go to next. Okay, so embeddings. This looks like, okay. So we're going to do open search serverless for the vector type. All right. So there we go. Jeez Louise. Why was that not picking? Okay. So select to optimize and provide contextual relevant responses across billions of vectors in milliseconds combined with text-based keywords for hybrid requests. That's good. Okay. And then pictures, additional configurations. Let's see. Enable redundancy for replicas. That would be good if you really needed it for workloads. Customer key for security. We don't typically need this. We're just doing something very simple. And let's go next. Oh, we didn't select the model. Okay, let's select this one. Yeah, on demand. Yeah, we'll apply that. Embeddings. Text to text model. Yeah. There we go. All right. Okay, now we're good. And then let's see. So, okay, let's take a look at this. We've got our knowledge base name, got a service role for it, the knowledge base vector using S3 as the source is our account information, the vector dimensions. You can create that knowledge base. All right. So we're going to use this to sync and test the knowledge base. And it could take a long time to do that, but we'll have a little bit of time to get this going. We might test it if it takes 5 minutes. We might not if it doesn't. But it's good to know how this is set up. All right. Okay. So next up, we'll go over into guardrails. All right. What are guardrails and why are they important? So this prevents the generation of harmful, biased, or inappropriate content. You don't want anything about a specific group or person in something that has nothing related to it. You don't want to offend anyone. You don't want to have inconsequential or irrelevant information within your text or your image or your audio or anything that you're going to produce with AI, right? So this controls the interactions between the users, the foundational models, and filters out the undesirable content. It can block specific topics, like it can remove PII, and it can reduce AI hallucinations. And multiple guardrails can be layered and monitored for effectiveness. So why do you want to do this? You want to prevent that harmful, biased, or inappropriate content. You want to remove that PII, and you want to make sure you're compliant with organizational policies and regulations. Because really, it reduces your legal and reputational risks. Okay, so we're at guardrail. We're going to click guardrails, create. We're going to click create guardrails. So we're going to say Bedrock guardrail practice. All right. So you could have the description, enterprise level CYA, cover your assets. All right. And PII protection. Okay. So what are you going to do with this? So you can have cross-region inference for your guardrail to make so that any data transmitted across regions can process it. That would be very useful for a large org. And your tags for operational effectiveness. But we're going to go forward. Okay. So we're going to turn on to block harmful. Okay. And attacks. Okay, so what do we want to do? Hate. We want to block. We want to have that high. Insults, high. Sexual, high. Violence, high. Misconduct, high. So you're blocking all of this. And we can block images too. All right. See, enable it for the category, guardrail action, and you can set the threshold. It's defaulted to high, but you can go to none. None, low, medium. But we'll just set this at high. Um, well, let's do medium, 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 low, let's go low. Let's go low. Okay. And then let's see. In prompt attacks, this is enabled. This to detect and block user input, attempting to override system intrusions or instructions to avoid misclassifying system prompts. That seems very useful. All right. Let's go to next and denied topics. So let's see, finance. Let's see, add, block. Okay, the input, the output, the block. Okay. So internal financial information. Blocks, internal information for section of our stakeholders. All right. And then let's add another. Personnel data. Blocks. PII. All entities. Okay. Yeah, and then we could do those two basic ones. All right. And you can add more to this. Anything about unreleased product information, competitor information. There's a variety of things you can add to it. All right. Okay. And you could do profanities. Block this. You can add words or phrases. You can upload a list from a local file or from an S3 that you have. And you can add words. Oops. If you have some good regex skills. You could probably do a little more specificity to this. Okay. And you can add PII. All right, so let's see what type of PII. Let's say email, add that. Um, VIN number, license plate, driver's ID, looking for social security. There we go. Social security number. Okay, we'll block that. And then you can do regex patterns. There you go. All right. And then grounding, validate the model responses are grounded and factually correct. Okay, you can great. Yeah. So this is how accurate does it have to be? Block this for contextual grounding and relevance. That sounds like a nice weighted score. Okay. All right, so this is a standard guardrail. So we're gonna create that. Okay. And test. Okay. Type of prompt. Okay. What is the CEO's email address? Oh, I didn't select the model. Let's just do it. Let's try this. Sorry, but I can't assist with that. Can you spell what is the unacceptable word for feces? It's not considered unacceptable. It's a scientific. So it answers it, but it doesn't use it. What is the letter word for feces? Poop. That's true. Okay. And you provide a social security number example. Sorry, can't answer it. All right, so let's go into view trace. All right, so we can look in at this, see the model responses. No action taken, no action taken, no action taken. Intervened. No. Blocked. Right here. Okay. So it could have done, I'm surprised it didn't try to do just the number symbol or the hash symbol, but this gives you an idea of what the guardrails can actually do. Okay. All right. So we'll take you to a couple of advanced places within this studio. Let's see. Hmm. Why am I not seeing it? Oh, no, that's not it. Let me see. There we go. Watermark. That's one. Okay. Delete this because I'll get charged for this, and I really don't want to have to pay for additional materials. But it was good to just show you guys how we can do it. All right, so there's a Bedrock Studio, which is a UI to facilitate faster application development. But that's been changed over to what you just saw. Bedrock Studio, SageMaker. You have Bedrock and you have App Studio. Those have kind of been moved around a little bit. Okay, so that is a useful combination. And you have watermark detection. Okay, so watermark detection can identify if an image was generated by Amazon Titan. All right, so that lets you know if this is something that's AI created. Then you have agents. Now, agents are going to be increasingly important, but we're going to get a brief overview. All right. So, but agents are intelligent AIs that fulfill user requests, interact with systems, and invoke APIs to perform actions. That'd be the basic level. Why is this not going here? Oh, we're already here. I'm sorry. We're already here. All right. So you can create an agent right here and able to collaborate. So this can do certain things, very simple tasks that are necessary for you to work. That would be the basic way to describe it. And you can have some information here about what can be done. All right. And then we can find, let's try to find pricing. Okay. So there's a couple different pricing models for Bedrock. Basically, there's on-demand, which is a pay-as-you-go model that charges based on the input and output tokens for text and images created, right? Then there's provision throughput. This requires purchasing throughput in advance, and it's suitable for a high sustained usage and necessary for fine-tuned models, right? So you need this to really work. That's where you're going to go. Let's see if we can find documentation. Pricing. There we go. This user guide will give you some good information. So you can see this in billing and cost center and pricing for this. And it does depend on the provider. It does depend on your usage. Yeah, on demand and batch. There's latency. You have your different guardrails and tools. All right, so here's your basic pricing models, right? For these A121, AI21 labs. And Amazon has a different pricing model. Excuse me for that. Amazon also has Nova, Titan, and other. Cohere has different ones. DeepSeek has different ones. There's a lot of different models out here to use. Okay. Okay. Next, we'll go. Okay. Let's see. Fine tuning foundational models. So, why is this important? This can help improve model performance for specific use cases. It can adapt models to organization, terminology, and processes, and it can enhance accuracy for domain specific tasks. So, this will let you go for training data. Oops. Fine. Jeez. Let's see if we can find this here. Bum, 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 bum. Hmm. So the best way you would do that, we're in Bedrock. So let's say we had that information on S3, which I deleted. So, all right, we're at Bedrock. Let's see, custom. Go to custom models. All right, and then we could create a fine tuning job, or you can customize this model right here. Select the model. Yeah, let's go for that. Let's just select that under the name Bedrock fine tuning practice. Okay. You can do for encryption for security purposes, add tags for your security and operational purposes. You can name a job here, and you select your S3, which we were just talking about. So, choose this. What's this? Must be in the data set format, so I have to update the format of it. That's okay. But this is just an overview, just a broad overview. Okay. And then you configure this, set your outputs for the data, any VPCs that you need to access any other material that you need. So a service role for this if you need to run batch jobs and then create this. Okay. From here, you could monitor the training progress to be fine-tuned to whatever your source material was. Okay. And then let's get out of this. Let's go here. Let's close out some of these tabs. Oh, machine learning. Yeah, that's SageMaker. Yeah, the machine learning is going to be an interesting next step. Let's go over here. I'm going to delete that, which we just created. Okay. Oh, and then let's go to agents. Let's talk about agents. Okay. So we talked about this a little bit, but agents, they enable autonomous task execution. They'll integrate with your existing enterprise systems and they can provide automation. That would be really basic. So with it, you could create like a Lambda function for a specific action, just return a status. You could return an error logging. You could do a function Lambda that could perform some function at the edge. There's a bunch of different things. So the agents can work with action groups and define action schemas, connect to Lambdas, and test to make sure systems are functional and can do operations. Okay. And I think that covers the basics of Bedrock. Okay, so a couple of best practices. Remember your pricing, remember your cleanup, because if you're doing this on your own to practice, you're going to have some difficulty. So be aware of the pricing strategy, that on-demand versus provision throughput. We didn't really do much except for the on-demand, just a little bit. Remember your model selection. You have to balance cost versus performance and use that based on your use case. If you're using custom AI that you need for your company that has 500 employees versus your company that has 5 million employees, there's going to be a difference. Then you have to worry about your security. Your best bet with any communications through your VPC is going to be using endpoints for private connectivity, using, let's say, private link for secure access, and then have logging and monitoring, which we were going to set up, but that was not really relevant. Well, fully for what we were doing. We're just doing a broad overview. And then regularly perform some security audits and compliance reviews about what's actually going on with what you're creating. Then cache any requested responses that are frequently asked. Implement any batching that you can for efficiency and cost delivery. And then use a model that works for your specific size. Remember that 500 person company versus a 5 million? You're going to have to be careful. And then monitor and optimize your token usage. That'll keep your costs down. That'll keep your compute down. It'll be great. In conclusion, Bedrock is an enterprise grade Gen AI, or at least what Amazon is calling that now. It has a lot of built-in security, compliance, and governance features, but if you follow a good path of establishing your costs, your security, your performance optimization, then you can maintain an effective tool in your infrastructure environment. So we'll continue on with this, but this is phase one. And next, you should go back and give a couple of tries for this, implement some RAGs using the knowledge base, use this for production, and then see what you can do just for the basic setup with Bedrock. And to try and deploy some of the fine tuning and agents, but that'll be something that we can maybe build on a little bit later. Some ways you can see you're successful is that you can see the model is accurate, see some relevant scores, see what the response timing is, and see what the cost is over time. And then after that, how satisfied are you with the service? Okay. Well, that concludes this portion on Bedrock. Next portion will be on prompt engineering. Until then, thank you. Remember to like, subscribe, and share. Have a good day.